Something is draining your energy right now, and if you don't do anything about it, it could hold you back for the rest of your life. You feel constantly exhausted, as if something is pulling you backward. Your plans never materialize. Your relationships feel draining. Your motivation disappears out of nowhere. Yet you keep pushing forward, thinking this is normal, just another rough phase. But what if I told you it's not? Have you ever woken up with a strange feeling? A heaviness in your chest, an inexplicable sense of anguish? You try to change, but you always find yourself back in the same place, as if trapped in an invisible cycle, as if something is holding you back, preventing you from moving forward. This happens because invisible chains are keeping you stuck. They're not physical. They're energetic, mental, spiritual. They are hidden patterns repeating themselves without you even realizing it. You feel like something is wrong, but you can't quite put your finger on it. It's like being trapped in a glass cage, trying to escape but unable to see the door. If you don't recognize this now, you may continue repeating the same mistakes forever, without even noticing. These forces will keep draining your energy, keeping you stagnant. But the worst part? You unknowingly put these chains on yourself. Stay with me until the end, because today, I'm going to show you how to break free. Forever. Have you noticed that no matter how hard you try to change, you always end up in the same place, as if you were caught in an invisible loop, reliving the same problems, facing the same challenges, feeling the same weight on your shoulders? This has happened to thousands of people. I've heard countless stories of people who spent years trying to change their lives, jumping from job to job, ending and restarting relationships, searching for something that would finally set them free. But in the end, they always returned to the same patterns. They thought the problem was the world around them, until they realized that the true invisible chains were inside their own minds. You try hard, make plans, take steps forward, but something always pulls you back. Maybe you've tried changing jobs, leaving a toxic relationship, cutting bad habits. At first it seems like things are getting better, but suddenly the same struggles return. You change the people around you, move to a new environment, but somehow the same patterns keep repeating. It's like being trapped in a maze where every exit leads you right back to the beginning. This isn't bad luck. It's not fate. These are invisible chains holding you exactly where you are. You feel exhausted for no reason, miss opportunities without explanation, attract situations that seem to repeat themselves endlessly. Have you ever noticed how some people always face the same types of problems? Always failing in business? Always getting involved with the same kind of person? Always struggling financially? None of this happens by chance. There are hidden forces at play, blocking your progress, draining your energy, keeping you stuck without you even realizing it. These are invisible ties preventing you from moving forward. Some were placed there by others, some by yourself, without even knowing it. But today that ends. Today you will discover the 9 invisible chains that have been draining your energy, and more importantly, you will learn how to break them, once and for all. You may be sleeping next to something that is silently draining your energy every night. It could be an object that seems harmless, a gift you received years ago, a piece of inherited furniture, a decorative item you no longer even notice. But what few people realize is that objects are not just matter. They carry stories, vibrations, memories. Everything that has been touched, used, or loved by someone absorbs a bit of that person's energy. Now imagine how much history an old ring, a second-hand coat, or a family heirloom might carry. And what if those stories weren't good ones? Think about an antique mirror that came from an unknown place. Who looked into it before you? What kind of energy did they leave behind? Inherited objects from family members may carry not only fond memories but also past suffering. A piece of jewelry passed down for generations may have been worn by someone who endured betrayal, loss, or illness. Without you realizing it, that energy lingers and continues to influence your space. Have you ever heard stories of people who started experiencing misfortune after bringing something new into their home? Maybe a painting, an antique piece of furniture, a decorative item from an unfamiliar place. Some of these stories may seem like coincidences, but many cultures believe that certain objects retain the energy of their previous owners. There are cases where, after getting rid of a specific object, a person's life starts to improve, as if a heavy burden had been lifted. That's because some things not only hold energy, but also serve as points of connection to spiritual influences that are not always positive. If you have something that has always given you an unexplainable sense of discomfort, it might be time to take a closer look. Have you ever felt a shiver when touching an object? Have you ever sensed that something carries an invisible weight? Some traditions teach energy cleansing rituals, such as leaving an item in the sunlight, washing it with water and salt, or even burning it to cut any lingering spiritual ties. Now think about the environment you live in. Have you ever walked into a place and immediately felt a heavy energy, as if something invisible was pressing down on you? It could be a bedroom where someone went through a difficult time, a house that witnessed constant arguments, an office filled with frustration. Places absorb the energy of past events. If a space has been marked by sadness, resentment, or anger, that energy can linger, affecting everyone who enters without them even realizing it. If your home is a place where you often feel drained, irritable, or unmotivated for no apparent reason, it could be that the energy is stagnant. And the problem is that when we live in that vibration daily, we become accustomed to it. Suddenly, you find yourself stuck in the same frequency, without energy to change, without the will to move forward. Have you ever noticed how some houses always feel cold, even on warm days? Or how certain rooms never seem welcoming no matter how many times you redecorate? Some people try changing the decor, buying new furniture, repainting the walls, yet something still feels off. That's because the energy of that space has already been imprinted by past events. Some houses seem to repel positive energy. You can burn incense, open windows, bring in plants, but nothing changes. If that's the case, it's possible that the place itself has become a point of fixation for negative energies. Have you ever heard of houses where tragedies keep happening? Places where multiple families have moved in but never managed to prosper? This could be connected to accumulated energetic memories. There are ways to cleanse a space, from spiritual rituals to strategic changes in the layout. But ignoring these signs might mean staying trapped in an invisible cycle. And what about people? Some of them are true spiritual anchors. Have you ever spoken with someone and afterward felt inexplicably drained, as if that person had sucked the energy out of you without you realizing it? This isn't just your imagination. There are people who, consciously or unconsciously, drain the energy of others. These are heavy relationships filled with negativity, constant complaints, emotional manipulation. If you always feel weighed down around someone, if you notice that your mood worsens after certain conversations, that's a warning sign. Some connections don't just exhaust you. They keep you trapped in patterns that prevent your growth. People who constantly make you feel guilty, who diminish your achievements, who plant doubts in your mind about what you're capable of. These are real invisible chains. Have you ever noticed that after meeting certain people, your day seems to spiral downward? Small inconveniences start happening. Your motivation disappears. Your mood shifts for no apparent reason. This could be a sign that their energy has latched onto you. Some call them emotional vampires, but regardless of the name, the effect is the same. You feel drained, powerless, as if something is pulling you down. And the problem is that these people don't always do it on purpose. Some are so deeply immersed in negative patterns that they end up spreading that energy to everyone around them. But others know exactly what they're doing. They demand your attention, manipulate you, make you feel indebted to them. You try to step away, but somehow, you always get pulled back in. Some of these relationships are so toxic that they can undo years of personal progress in just a matter of days. Have you noticed how after talking to certain people, you lose motivation to follow through with your plans? That's because their energy directly affects your own vibration. And there's an even greater danger: people who create emotional dependency. You feel drained, yet you also feel like you can't walk away. It's as if something invisible keeps pulling you back into the cycle. When you keep telling yourself that something is difficult, that you can't do it, that your life never improves, your mind turns that into reality. Your brain, your energy, and even your spiritual field begin to vibrate at that frequency. You start attracting experiences, people, and situations that reinforce that belief. This means your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. Have you noticed that on days when you wake up irritated or discouraged, everything seems to go wrong? It's like reality itself is working against you. Small things start happening. You spill your coffee, you're late, you forget something important. And the more frustrated you get, the more things go wrong. Now imagine living years like this. Repetitive thoughts don't just affect your emotions. They shape your energy. your posture in life, and even the way others perceive you. If you believe you don't deserve something, you will act in ways that reinforce that belief. If you think you're not capable, you will sabotage your own opportunities. And don't think this only affects the present. There are limiting beliefs that were programmed into your mind long ago. Maybe you grew up hearing that money is bad, that success comes with suffering, that love always leads to pain. These are ideas you may not even consciously notice, but they shape how you see the world. There are stories of people who spent their entire lives believing they would never be lucky, and sure enough, they never were. Others carried a fear of loneliness and unconsciously pushed away every chance at a healthy relationship, all because what we strongly believe in eventually becomes our reality. And it's not just thoughts. Places and objects can also reinforce these mental patterns. Have you ever heard that mirrors can be portals of energy? Many cultures believe that these objects don't just reflect images, they absorb the vibrations of the space they're in. That means if a mirror has been in a heavy environment for years, it can continue reflecting that energy, influencing anyone who looks into it every day. Now think about the mirror in your bedroom. Have you ever felt a chill when passing by it? In the dark? Have you ever had the eerie sense that something in the reflection looks different? Some spiritual traditions say that having a mirror facing your bed can interfere with your sleep and even drain your energy while you rest. That's because, energetically, mirrors don't just reflect, they amplify. And if you sleep in front of a mirror that has accumulated negative vibrations, you may be constantly exposed to its influence. And there are some unsettling stories. Some people claim that after placing a mirror in their bedroom, they started experiencing insomnia, sudden chills, or even noticing shadows in the reflection. In one well-known case, a couple bought an antique mirror from a thrift shop. Within days, they began hearing strange noises at night and feeling an unexplained presence in their room. When they finally decided to get rid of the mirror, the disturbances stopped. Does that mean every mirror is a portal? Not necessarily. But if you have a mirror in your bedroom and something feels off, it might be time to pay closer attention. Try covering it for a few nights and see if your sleep improves. And here's something even more disturbing. Some cultures believe that mirrors can trap energy. In ancient funerals, mirrors were covered to prevent the soul of the deceased from getting stuck in the reflection. Other beliefs suggest that if you spend too much time looking at yourself in a mirror during moments of sadness or pain, you can imprint that energy onto it, forcing yourself to relive it every time you see your reflection. Now imagine spending years sleeping in front of a mirror that has absorbed sorrow, suffering, and conflict from previous owners. Without realizing it, you could be influenced by these vibrations every single night. If mirrors really are portals, then what could be passing through them while you sleep? And then there's an even more unsettling case. In 1997, a woman named Laura bought a mirror from an antique shop. Within weeks, her life turned into chaos. She began having vivid nightmares. Her house felt heavier, and objects started falling for no reason. The situation became unbearable until she got rid of the mirror. And mysteriously, all the strange occurrences stopped. Was it just a coincidence? Or do some objects truly carry something beyond what we can see? But here's the real issue. Even if you remove every charged object, stay away from heavy places, and cut ties with energy-draining people, none of it will matter if you don't eliminate the final invisible chain. Because this blockage isn't just around you, it's already inside you. And without realizing it, you might be feeding this prison every single day. But what if I told you that this blockage is controlling you right now and you have no idea? You've spent this entire video learning how objects, places, and even people can drain your energy. You've realized that certain things around you may be holding you back, preventing your life from moving forward. But now comes the hardest truth to accept. The biggest blockage in your life is not in objects, it's not in people, it's not in your home, it's in you. The truth that no one wants to hear is that many of the chains that imprison you were put there by none other than yourself. And the scariest part, you might be reinforcing those chains every single day without realizing it. Think about all the times you believed you weren't capable of something. Think about the opportunities you let slip away because you thought you weren't ready. About the moments you sabotaged yourself, made excuses, or gave up before even trying. You can blame your environment, the people around you, or even fate. But deep down, the one keeping this prison alive is you. The beliefs you've carried since childhood, the fears that were instilled in you, the inner voices telling you that you're not good enough, that you don't deserve happiness. that life is always a struggle. These have become a mental program, an invisible system that shapes your reality. And if you don't break these chains now, you will keep living the same life. The same mistakes, the same failures, the same repeated cycles. Have you ever thought about how many people have spent their entire lives trapped in this cycle without ever realizing it? People who gave up on dreams because they thought they weren't capable, who stayed in toxic relationships because they didn't believe they deserved better, who spent years believing life was only suffering, and in the end, that's exactly what they experienced. The human mind has incredible power. When you believe something is impossible, your brain shuts down all possibilities of achieving it. If you believe you will never be successful, even if a great opportunity appears, you won't see it. And worse, if you do see it, you'll find a way to sabotage it. This is called self-sabotage, and it's silent. You might be sabotaging yourself right now without even knowing it. Why do some people always fail in the same areas of life? Always end up in toxic relationships, always lose money, always feel frustrated with their choices? Is it just bad luck? Or on some level, are they creating and reinforcing these patterns every day? And the worst part, the longer you stay inside this mental prison, the harder it becomes to escape. Now think about the time that has already passed. Think about all the experiences you could have had if you had believed in yourself more, about all the opportunities that could have turned out differently. What are you missing out on right now? Because your mind is still trapped? If you don't change now, nothing around you will change. If you don't break these chains, you will keep repeating the same mistakes for the rest of your life. But now you have a choice. You can either continue carrying these invisible chains, or you can learn how to break them once and for all. And the scariest part? If you don't act now, you might spend the rest of your life never realizing you were trapped. So far, you've uncovered the invisible chains that hold you back. You've realized that your energy can be drained by objects, places, and people around you. But now comes the most important part: how to free yourself once and for all. Knowing the problem isn't enough. You must take action. And if you apply the next steps, you can completely transform your life. Sign number 1: energy. Draining objects. The first thing you need to do is look around and identify everything that might be carrying negative energy. Your home could be filled with objects holding on to vibrations from the past, clothes you wore during difficult times, gifts from people who are no longer part of your life, inherited furniture from someone who suffered greatly. Each of these items could be holding you back without you even realizing it. Pick up each object and ask yourself, does this make me feel good or bad? If something brings up bad memories, makes you uncomfortable, or feels heavy, that could be a sign it doesn't belong in your space. Don't be afraid to let go of these things. Often, creating physical space also means creating energetic space. Sign number 2: stagnant energy in your home. But removing objects isn't enough. The energy of your space also needs to be cleared. Have you ever walked into a place and felt an overwhelming heaviness in the air, as if something invisible was pressing down on you? This happens because a space can accumulate years of stagnant energy. If your home constantly feels heavy, if you experience unexplained fatigue or a sense of stagnation, that could be a sign that the energy of the place is affecting you. The good news? There are simple yet powerful ways to cleanse this energetic field. Burning herbs like sage, rosemary, and rue can help clear stagnant energy. Sprinkling salt water in the corners of your home is another effective technique. Sound also has a direct impact. Ringing bells, chanting mantras, or even clapping in the corners of a room can help break up and move stagnant vibrations. The energy around you is constantly influencing your life, and the more you take control of it, the more you take control of your own destiny. Sign number 3: people who drain your energy. But what's the point of cleansing your home if the people around you are still draining your energy? Have you ever felt completely depleted after talking to someone? Some people carry so much negativity that, without realizing it, they pass that burden onto those around them. And the most dangerous part? You often feel trapped in these connections. These are heavy relationships marked by emotional manipulation, pessimism, and repetitive cycles. If you always feel weighed down around someone, if your emotions shift for the worse after certain conversations, that's a warning sign. Learn to set boundaries. This doesn't mean you have to cut people out of your life completely, but you must protect your energy. Avoid sharing your plans and dreams with those who constantly try to diminish you. Reduce contact with people who always have something negative to say. and if necessary, walk away without guilt. Your energy is your responsibility. Sign number 4. Negative mental patterns. But none of this matters if the real problem is inside you. What's the point of cleansing your home, distancing yourself from toxic people, and still feeding destructive thought patterns? The mind is like a mirror. It reflects whatever you project onto it. If you believe you can't do something, then you can't. If you believe life will always be difficult, it will be. But just like a computer program can be rewritten, so can your beliefs. The first step is identifying the thoughts that are holding you back. What do you tell yourself every day? What phrases echo in your mind? If those phrases are negative, you need to replace them immediately. Instead of saying, "I never have good luck," say, "I create my own opportunities." Instead of repeating, "I'm not good enough," say, "I am capable and improving every day." It may seem simple, but repetition creates new neural pathways. What you tell yourself becomes your reality. Sign number 5. Lack of spiritual cleansing. Just as your body needs a shower every day, your energy also needs regular cleansing. Have you ever felt an unexplained emotional heaviness after visiting certain places or meeting certain people? This happens because, without realizing it, we absorb external vibrations. Creating a spiritual cleansing ritual can help keep your energy balanced. Herbal baths with rosemary, lavender, or basil are excellent for restoring your vibration. Writing down everything you want to release from your life and then burning the paper can symbolize breaking free from patterns that no longer serve you. Guided meditations for energy cleansing can help cut invisible ties keeping you connected to the past. Sign number 6. Lack of energy protection. Speaking of protection, have you ever considered how many times you've absorbed energy unintentionally? How often have you been somewhere and left feeling drained without knowing why? Just as there are ways to cleanse your energy, there are also ways to shield yourself from energetic attacks. One of the most powerful techniques is visualizing a shield of light around you. It may sound simple, but what your mind creates, your energetic field responds to. Wearing protective amulets like the evil eye or black tourmaline can also help absorb external negativity. But the most important thing, raising your vibration. The higher your frequency, the less external energy will affect you. Sign number 7. Emotional ties to the past. But what about the past? You may have removed charged objects, distanced yourself from toxic people, and changed your mindset. But if you're still emotionally tied to past pain, that energy will continue holding you back. Old relationships, traumas, resentments, all of these can continue to affect you if you're still emotionally connected to those experiences. Forgiveness isn't about the other person, it's about you. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means freeing yourself from something that no longer serves a purpose in your life. Sign number 8. Digital energy buildup. Speaking of invisible ties, have you ever noticed how the digital world can also trap your energy? Social media, old messages, connections that no longer make sense. All of this can keep you stuck in past versions of yourself. Do a digital cleanse. Delete conversations that bring you down. Unfollow people who drain you emotionally. Reduce your exposure to content that overwhelms you. Disconnecting from the digital world for a few hours each day can bring profound restoration to your energy. Sign number 9. Lack of daily energy. Care, but true liberation happens every single day. Wake up every morning with the intention of protecting your energy. Choose consciously what you allow into your mind and heart. Practice gratitude. Stay aware of your emotions and remember that in the end, the decision to free yourself is always in your hands. You think you now know how to break free? You've identified energy-draining objects, purified your home, distanced yourself from destructive influences, reprogrammed your mind, and begun protecting yourself spiritually. All of this is essential. But what if I told you there's still something holding you back? Something you placed in your life? What I'm about to reveal may be hard to accept, but if you truly want to break free, you must face this truth head-on. There is one invisible chain stronger than all the others. Stronger than charged objects, stronger than heavy environments, stronger than any negative person around you. This chain is your own fear. Think about it. You may have removed everything that was harming you, but if you still feel fear, that energy is still alive inside you. Fear is a dense vibration, a frequency that keeps you exactly where you are. It stops you from moving forward, from making decisions, from opening yourself up to new opportunities. Fear creates resistance, and resistance keeps you trapped in the same reality. And the scariest part? Fear hides itself. It rarely appears saying, "Don't do this because I'm paralyzing you." Instead, it disguises itself as logical excuses. You tell yourself, "It's not the right time yet. I still need to prepare more. I can't take that risk right now." But the truth is, deep down, it's fear keeping you exactly where you are. How many times have you held back from taking action because you were afraid of what might happen? How many times have you swallowed your words, hesitated to make a move, ignored the path your heart was pointing to, just because you were scared? Fear shapes your life in ways you don't even realize. It makes you give up on dreams before you even try. It makes you settle for less than you deserve in relationships, jobs, and opportunities. It builds a comfort zone that is actually a prison. Have you ever seen people spend their entire lives stuck in jobs they hate because they're afraid to change, or stay in toxic relationships because they're afraid of being alone? This isn't random. This is fear controlling their lives. And here's the ultimate irony. The biggest risk you can take is staying exactly where you are right now. Because if nothing changes, a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, your life will be the same, or worse. And what if I told you most people go their entire lives without realizing they are prisoners of their own fear? They do everything right, try to change, follow steps, but they never fully break free, because deep down, they are still holding on to the chain. You may have removed every external tie, but if you don't release this last chain inside you, you will never be truly free. Fear is the final barrier, and you need to break it now. But how? How do you defeat a chain that has been programmed into you for years? How do you free yourself from something that has been part of your identity for so long? The answer is simple, but it's brutal, and most people fail at this exact moment. In the next video, you will discover what's truly stopping you from complete liberation, and the one thing that can finally set you free. You've come this far. You've identified the invisible chains holding you back. You've learned how to cleanse your home, protect your energy, reprogram your mind, and cut away everything that was draining you. You now understand that fear is the final barrier, and if you don't face it, nothing will change. But there's one last truth. If you don't know this final secret, everything you've done so far could be useless. And if you ignore this warning, you could be condemning yourself to a never-ending cycle. So watch the next video now, before it's too late.